are we doing stages, and what lap does it end on?
Hello, everyone. Welcome live to 3Y TV, tonight's broadcast of the Total Nonstop Racing League. That's not the Total Nonstop Racing League. I do apologize for that. But I am Peter Stewart, and joining me in the booth here alongside is Bob Giaquinto for the start of the Total Nonstop Racing Series. And Bob, here tonight, we are at Daytona International Speedway for 175 miles, 70 laps around this 2.5-mile racetrack here tonight. It's starting of the Thornton Graphix Grand National Series with the Grand National cars. I'm very much looking forward to it. How about you?
Yeah, I'm really excited for this season to kick off. We've got the Grand National Series cars, or the Xfinity Series cars, as a lot of people may know these cars as. And man, I am looking forward to it. It's a step up from the Arca Menard Series cars, a little bit more horsepower, just a little bit tougher to control. And these guys at Daytona to kick off the season, you just cannot beat it. 75 laps in length for tonight's race. And it is just going to be some all-out super speedway racing. And man, Peter, I am so excited to get things underway. Qualifying going to be starting in just a couple of minutes. We've got some new initiatives and things like that to kick off the 2021 season. And this is just going to be a great time.
Yeah, in fact, we already are in the qualifying session. A lot of new faces this year. There is the number 17 of Ben Izenga going down the backstretch in that Kyle Busch-inspired number 17 NOS Energy Drink Toyota Supra. He's going to be one of the drivers that we're going to see here tonight, as well as the number 45 machine of Eddie Hawks. He's one of those drivers that we've seen here on 3Y TV in the past, and great to have Eddie in the field here tonight for his Total Nonstop Racing League debut, coming to the line for the first time. We're starting to see a few drivers get their first lap in here in qualifying. But a long season, Bob, and a lot of storylines over the offseason, a lot of new drivers. We saw a great finish last season, but this year, we're in the new cars. We're in the Grand National cars versus the ARCA cars like we were last year.
Yeah, and some new cars, so there's going to be definitely a learning curve. I know last season when we were talking to a lot of drivers about the switch over to the Grand National Series cars, they were saying that they didn't really have all that much experience with these type of cars. They're a little bit heavier, a little bit more horsepower, so they're definitely different to drive. But the one thing that I'm excited for is how these bumpers are going to match up throughout this race, especially here on super speedways. A little bit more bump drafting, a little bit, tougher or rougher, I guess you can say, these drivers can get during the race. So, man, I'm just looking forward to seeing how these guys play out here on the high banks of Daytona.
Currently, it is Eddie Hawks in the number 45 machine who sits on the provisional pole over Chad Mikos. And great to see Chad Mikos in the race tonight. I've raced with Chad many a time over my sim racing career, back all the way to the NASCAR Racing 2003 days. In fact, a lot of these names on the left-hand side of your screen Started off in the Total Nonstop Racing League back when we were racing NASCAR Racing 2003. I know you, Bob, and myself raced against the likes of Mikos and, Monticelli, Geveshausen, Gleason, and more. And great to have them here in iRacing. And as you can see, though, very, very close right now. Your top 7 just separated by about a tenth of a second here as we have a minute left here in qualifying.
Yeah, this is just so exciting, and I can already feel the anticipation for just getting this season started. There's some great sponsors that have come on board to help fund the Total Nonstop Racing League, as we see the 70 right now of Chris Darling out there on the racetrack trying to put down another quick lap. But all of our races this season have sponsors attached to it, which is just so phenomenal. Tonight's race, the Thornton Graphix 175 here at Daytona. And, you just can't beat it. I just love seeing how much this league has grown over the last year or so since the reinception of this league. And, man, it's just fantastic, Peter.
You're looking right now at Christopher Darling, who is yet to get one of his lap times in. You see that down there, best lap as a dash. He's only got 17 seconds to get this lap time in as he's going to come to the line in that very Chris Darling number 70 yellow transportation on the hood. He's going to come to the line where is he going to slot in the number 70 mobile? P11 for right now. A lot of drivers not taking time here in qualifying, which is definitely something a bit surprising. You don't often see that here at Daytona. Usually you see a lot of people try and go for the pole, but hey, it is a new man who is going to be starting on the pole. The number 45 machine of Eddie Hawks, like I mentioned, he's no stranger to 3-wide TV.
Good luck, gentlemen.
And he's going to be picking up the pole in his first Total Nonstop Racing League start. I don't think he started at all last season at 2020 B Series. But here he is, 2021, starting off on the pole at Daytona in that number 45 machine. Great lap turned by him, and he'll be starting this one out front. But why don't we go through tonight's starting lineup, Bob?
So starting on the pole, as you had mentioned, the 44 of Eddie Hawks, he's going to get 2 bonus points on the championship season with a lap time of 50.304. On his outside, the 25 of Chad Mikos starting in second. Now moving on to row number 2, starting in the 3rd position, the 12 of Cam Caldwell, another returner for the TNR League this season. On his outside, the 13 of James Lorello, one of the newcomers here in TNR, but we've seen him in National Sim Racing Association. He's definitely one of the drivers to beat over there, so glad to see him over here at TNR. On the inside of row number 3, starting 5th, the 8 of Ricky Williams, and on his outside, that'd be the 3 of Steve Rada. Now on row number 4, the 38 machine driven by Vincent Valvano. He's starting in 7th, and on the outside of him, the 84 of Matt Monticelli starting 8th. Now on row number 5, the 98 of Tristan Maher, and on his outside, the 26 of JT Poole rounds out the top 10.
Starting on the inside of row number 6, the number 70 of Chris Darling, with Philip Scott in the number 99 to his outside in that red machine that you see right there, and behind him, on the inside, that'd be the number 57 machine. A little bit different look than what he runs here on the Friday Night League. That is Josh Sobel with Chris Stewart in the number 49 alongside him in 14th. On the inside of row number 8, Kyle Geveshausen in the number 44 with Chris James will be the first car not to take time. In the number 2, will be starting P16. Jason Freeman, Jason Gracias, the Jason and Jason show. We saw that a lot last year in the Total Nonstop Racing League. They'll be rolling off on row number 9 together, while on row number 10, DeMarco Starks and Bill Edwards round out your top 20 there, Bob.
Now starting in 21st, the 17 of Ben Izinga, and on his outside, the 24 of Ben Mashburn starting in 22nd. In 23rd, the 97 of Mike Floppy Tellier. He'll be in 23rd, and in 24th, the 77 old DH Dave Harvey in 24th position. In row number 13, we've got the 25 of Dustin Jones, starting 25th, the 39 of Dustin Jones, and on his outside, the 7 of Garrett Gleason, starting 26th. Next in 27th, the 22 of Stephen Kegman, and on his outside, the 83 of Austin Grover. And then rounding out the field, starting shotgun in 29th position, the 41 of Tony Lucarelli.
Yeah, not seeing Tony Lucarelli out there on the racetrack, so that would be very unfortunate if he's unable to get to the start of this race. So we'll keep an eye on whether or not he can get out there for the start of the Total Nonstop Racing Series. And of course, Lucarelli was one of those drivers. We saw a lot of him last season here in the series with some very strong runs. And Bob, definitely would be a heartbreak if he's unable to take the green flag. But speaking of the green flag, we're now just about 400 yards away from taking the green flag. All these drivers going to come down. The green flag is going to wave, and the 45 of Eddie Hawks is going to get us to green flag for the first time this season in the Total Nonstop Racing League.
And a great start there by the 45 of Hawks, able to keep some just a little bit of distance between he and the 12 of Cam Caldwell. Doesn't want to get too far ahead in just so he doesn't get drafted and passed by the entire field. Able to keep ahead, able to get a good push by Caldwell as they come out of turn number 2.
Yeah, look at Cam Caldwell. He's going to drop down there below the apron. In fact, a lot of cars there dropping down below the apron on the backstretch. They're trying to get a little bit of track position. Meanwhile, up at the front, Eddie Hawks continues to lead. Chad Michaels out in the outside in the number 25, Game Fuel Mountain Dew. I'll tell you what, there is nothing more Chad Michaels on a race car than Mountain Dew. That man has run Mountain Dew ever since Dale Earnhardt Jr. put Mountain Dew on his number 88 machine. And here we go again. Michaels with the Mountain Dew machine going to lead lap number 1 over Eddie Hawks, but Hawks fighting back on the inside with a little bit of help from James Lorello.
He's doing the do out there on the top line, getting a good push by the 3 of Steve Rada. But now here's Lorello pushing Hawks. Hawks is going to go to the point coming through turn number 2.
Yeah, that push down the backstretch, we're going to see a lot of it here tonight. The back of the field starting to break up just a little bit. A bit surprised by that for right now. As you see up at the front, we still are double file. We're going to see this a lot here tonight, folks. If you're unfamiliar with Super Speedway racing, this is about what you get the entire race long. And Bob, I gotta say, as a race car driver, a sim racer myself, as Rada there almost getting into the side of Lorello coming out of turn number 4, as a sim racer myself, these types of racetracks definitely get my heart rate up because you are concentrating the whole way around the racetrack. It might just be the fact that you're going 190 miles an hour that gets that heart rate up, but definitely these drivers are going to be dancing with one another all night long.
For sure, and especially seeing how choppy these drivers are going down the back straightaway, jostling side to side, trying to look for position. This might look like a bit of a traffic jam that you see out there on the highway, but with these drivers going 190 miles an hour plus millimeters from each other, this is anything but your typical Sunday drive. And man, this is just absolutely crazy, and I don't know how these guys are able to do it in real life, let alone in this sim, because this is just absolutely fantastic racing here as we're getting a good look here at the number 8 machine on the inside pushing Lamarillo.
Yeah, I got to say that number 8 of Ricky Williams, not the same Ricky Williams who won the Heisman Trophy for the University of Texas back in the day and went on to NFL, I don't know if you'd call it stardom, but nonetheless, Ricky Williams there in the number 8 machine. It's spelled just a little bit different, running there now on the podium. Meanwhile, Eddie Hawks up at the front. Got to give a shout out to the people in the chat here tonight. We got Ryder Leangle, Logan Detweiler, Garrett Gleason. We got Steve Racing 7159, Logie Bear, and as well as Tim Connolly. Hope all is well with you, Tim. Tim, of course, used to race here on 3Wide TV in our broadcasts, and great to have him here on board, written on Eddie Hawks, one of his buddies here tonight in that number 45. All is good for that number 45 machine as of right now, but how about a little bit further back? Speaking of the Jason and Jason show, we've mentioned that your reigning Total Nonstop Racing Thornton Grand National Cup Series holder, that is the number 1 of Jason Gracias, all by himself, got Max Graphics on the hood of that Toyota Supra. As you see cars behind him starting to jostle around. New look on that number 1 machine there, Bob.
Yeah, it looks a little bit like a Michael Annette Pilot Flying J car initially here, but man, that is one good-looking car from the guys at Max Graphics.
Yeah, absolutely. It's double file back where he is. You see these cars are really jostling around. He has the number 98 machine, Tristan Maher, right behind him, that outside line, trying to get warmed up to see if they can mount a charge for this race lead here in a little bit. We're through 5 laps now. Eddie Hawks continuing to lead here. He's led 4 of the first 5 laps. Very strong start for your pole sitter here as that outside line. We're starting to see them make a little bit of ground on that inside groove as they just seemed a little bit better formed up there for right now there, Bob. It just seems like the inside line, starting to kind of jostle around, and you can see that push from the number 1 machine. He went from about 8th position 1 lap ago. Now he's battling for 2nd.
Man, what a great push there by the 98 of Tristan Marr with a huge push as they went down the back straightaway. And now, I mean, look at this, just how formed up that outside line is. They're getting a great push there by the 98. Hopefully, he's not running the engine too hot or anything. There's still plenty of racing to go. But man, what a great push there by the 98, able to get the 1 of Jason Gracias towards the point.
Yeah, we're on board right now with Tristan Maher, who is running right behind that number 1 machine, and we're kind of looking over there at his dashboard to see whether or not he's going to be overheating. But as of right now, all those dash gauges, look okay. They don't seem to be overheating, and that's something you have to watch out for. As you see the number 1 right there of Gracias probably displaying on his bumper that he is the defending TNR champion in that Toyota Supra coming out of turn number 4. You just get a sense of the speed here as we ride on board with Maher.
And not only the speed, but how nerve-wracking that must be for a driver like Maher, where he's got, someone right in front of him, he's pushing him ahead. He's got another guy right behind him. One wrong move could take out the entire field, and you don't want to be that guy to do that. And, oh man, this is just some fantastic racing here early on.
You see the whole field there on the backstretch still continuing to jostle for position. We're starting to see the number 24 machine of Ben Mashburn start to work his way up. A very unique look on that number 24 machine. There he is, who lives in a pineapple under the sea. Ben Mashburn does. Got SpongeBob SquarePants on that number 24 Toyota Camry. A lot of Camrys in the field here tonight. It was a little bit surprising. Bob was expecting to see a lot of Fords, but not a whole lot in the field. Granted, we do have Maher up there, as well as I believe that's DeMarco Starks in the number 4 machine. He's running a Ford, but it seems like we have a lot of Toyotas in the field. I'd like to see the breakdown of how many of each individual manufacturer we have, but nonetheless, you know what? These guys are putting on a show as we close in on lap number 10. Now, if you're just now joining us, on lap number 15, we have the one and only stage break. We will throw a caution flag at the end of lap number 15 when the leader gets to the start-finish line to begin lap number 16. That will be the one and only stage break, and there are some championship points on the line, so we'll see which of these drivers can pick up some points and add to that tally. But it looks like James Lorello in the number 13 has taken himself to the point for the first time tonight.
Yeah, James Lorello out front looks like he was just a little bit tired of pushing the guy in front of him, the 45 of Eddie Hawks. Said, you know what, I'm going to jump out in front. It's my turn to take the point. And so far, looking pretty good as they go down the back straightaway.
Yeah, down the back stretch, and you see all of these cars. I think they're going to get a little bit racy here. You can kind of see that the pack has come back together. It's accordion together here with about 10 laps to go, because they do know that those stage points are on the line on lap number 15, just waiting to see if they can work their way up to the front. Granted, if you're back there around the number 84 machine, Matt Monticelli, we go on board with him right here. You know, there's not a lot of room for you to make that move up to the front, Bob. You can kind of see that you're boxed in. You can't really make that move like we saw out of the Jason Gracias and Tristan Maher a little while ago, where they could just use that high line to move up to the front. And speaking of Jason Gracias, he's taken the number 1 Max Graphics Toyota Supra back up to the front for the first time tonight.
Yeah, a little surprising that he left the 98 of Tristan Maher behind him and left Maher up towards the top side, but he's getting a good push now from Lorello as they come through the corner. And you know, I'm just a little bit surprised that he didn't stay with his drafting partner. Maher got him up towards the front, but decided he's going to go down low and try to keep the lead with this the faster inside line, and it's paying off so far.
And the one thing you can see from the blimp cam here is just how much these cars accordion with one another. You kind of see the car close in on the car in front, and then they have to back off, or just the way the draft works. around the Daytona International Speedway. You kind of get that. And this isn't, a lot of people say it's just go fast, turn left. No, you have to do a lot of jostling. Here comes the number 98, Maher, gives a little bit of a nudge to the back bumper of Eddie Hawks. You can do a little bit of bump drafting with these Grand National cars, which is a lot of fun, personally. Once you're able to lock up with those cars, I personally really enjoy it. As you see the 45 of Eddie Hawks, again, trying to get to the race lead here. Got 12 laps down, 3 laps until the stage break, and looks like the 13 of Lorello was all over the inside groove. Might have got a little bit loose down there.
Yeah, this right here is crunch time. These drivers know that there's some stage points on the line. A new rule this year with the Total Nonstop Racing League is if we have more than 20 cars in the field, the top 5 positions at the stage break will all get stage points, 5 points for first, 4 points for second, and so on. And, I mean, these drivers are all trying to get just that little bit of an advantage, because we saw last year as we entered the chase, a couple of drivers missed the playoffs by just a couple of points. So every single point matters here, as they're starting to get a little racy here as we begin lap 14.
Yeah, and of course the chase will be expanded this season. Last year it was only 5 drivers. This year it's going to be more than that. So every point's going to matter for sure as you see them dive off into turn number 1 once again. Still side by side. Jason Gracias, your reigning series champion, your race leader. James Lorello, league newcomer. Very, very fast driver is James Lorello. We broadcast him here on 3Y TV on Friday nights, and he's going to go to the top side, get a little bit of help from Eddie Hawks. They're starting to jostle around 3 wide, perhaps a little bit further back, with the number 38 of Vincent Valvano there in the middle. But for now, James Lorello is going to become the race leader. We're going to have the 1 lap to the stage break this time by.
Man, what a great move there by Lorello, able to go around the 1 of Jason Gracias, able to lead the field to the line here last lap now in this stage. And this is any man's race. We've got Lorello and the 45 of Hawks as they lead the pack off into turn number 1.
The number 45 of Eddie Hawks getting a little bit of help from the 98 right behind him. Behind him, DeMarco Starks in the number 4 machine. Vincent Valvano up there in the number 38 as they go down the backstretch. What's Maher going to do? Can Maher get down in front of the 13 of Lorello? Looks like the 45 of Hawks is going to come down in front of Lorello. The high line not formed up. Oh, a nudge. The little bit of a bump right there in the middle of the corner. Eddie Hawks getting a little love tap from the number 13 of Lorello. What can Lorello do? Can Lorello get around Hawks? It's going to be a drag race to the start-finish line to figure out who's going to win the first stage break of the season. It goes to Eddie Hawks.
Man, what a great battle there by Hawks, able to somehow get around the 13 of Lorello. And, oh man, I thought for sure they were going to wreck coming to the line. Somehow everyone was able to get through it cleanly. But the 45 of Eddie Hawks, the pole sitter, now stage winner, and maximum points so far for that 45 newcomer.
Yeah, we're going to watch a replay as we race back to the start-finish line to just see how close this was between the 45 and the number 13, folks. This could be what the race finish looks like as you see the 45 getting to the line by about half a car length. Your reigning series champion there of the 1 of Jason Gracias right behind James Lorello, Tristan Maher, and it looks like the 5th position there fell to possibly DeMarco Starks. So going to be interesting to see exactly how it all plays out, but fantastic first stage of the season here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. If you're just now joining us, thanks for tuning in here on 3Y TV. I'm going to be with you every Monday night here on this channel with the Total Nonstop Racing League. Very much looking forward to it. Myself, Peter Short, alongside Bob Giaquinto. And Bob, looks like we got cars coming down pit road.
Yeah, some takers here. It's going to be interesting to see with the fuel cell and the fuel situation for these drivers. Just like last year, 2 sets of tires in the pits. This year, 60% fuel capacity for these drivers. They get a fast repair. So it's going to be interesting to see how much fuel these guys can go. I highly doubt they'd be able to go the rest of the way without stopping one more time for fuel. But tires here at Daytona, Peter, as you know, really not that important when it comes to pit stops for these drivers.
Yeah, and you see the race off pit road. Looks like Eddie Hawks might have just been able to get out front first there. You see the rest of the field start to roll off pit road. However, we do have a new race leader, and that would be the number 7 of Garrett Gleason, running that Mike Skinner inspired Total Nonstop Racing League machine. You see him running right down there on the backstretch. Got Philip Scott and the number 99 back behind him. And I think this is probably a call, Bob, to, maybe come down pit road this time. So you'll start at the back of the field. We saw a lot of drivers there at the beginning of the race dive down below the double yellow line on the backstretch to drop to the back of the field so they could just kind of ride. And I got to say, we haven't mentioned the 3 words that you always mention whenever you come to a super speedway, the big one. We haven't mentioned that here tonight, and, we haven't seen it in the first 15 laps. All 27 cars, Chris James also not out there on the racetrack here tonight. But 27 cars out there right now. And if you're at the back of it, that's a strategy. You want to be behind the big one. You want to be, so far back you can slam on the binders, get your car woed down. The other strategy is to be ahead of the big one. It's not usually a matter of if, it's more a matter of when, especially in sim racing, although real life NASCAR has gotten a little smashy crashy at these super speedways in recent years, as Garrett Gleason there just overshoots his pit stall right in front of the 3-wide TV camera here on pit road. You can get a little look at that number 7 machine. It definitely is a great looking hot rod, and a lot of other takers on pit road as well. Meanwhile, there is a driver we haven't talked about here tonight, the number 50 machine. That is Bill Edwards, and another one of the drivers that we broadcast here on Friday nights in the Simbox Truck Series and the National Sim Racing Association, doing work here tonight in the Total Nonstop Racing Thornton Graphix Grand National Series. Great to have them on board this season. Of course, they sponsored last season as well as Dunn Raceway Park, Bob, indoor off-road racing up there in Old Forge, Pennsylvania, also sponsoring the Total Nonstop Racing League. And I believe you are also bringing a sponsor to the table this year. So why don't you tell the folks at home about what you're bringing to the league this year?
I am my podcast, or combination podcast and streaming channel, the Shibby Shack. This year we're sponsoring a race in a couple of weeks at Homestead, Miami. But every week for this season, we're sponsoring the Shibby Shack Dash for Cash, where we pick somewhere between 3 to 5 drivers every race who don't normally get the amount of exposure that some of our top drivers would normally get. And the winner will get a cash prize doled out by the Total Nonstop Racing League. And this week's drivers for the Dash for Cash are the 45 machine of Eddie Hawks, Matt Monticelli in the 84, and the 24 of Ben Mashburn. So those 3 drivers are the drivers to look out for tonight's Shibby Shack Dash for Cash, as the green flag is out and we're back underway for the final stage of racing here at Daytona.
Yeah, it's going to be a long one here to get to the end of this race. More than 100 more miles here around the famed Daytona International Speedway, Daytona Beach, Florida. We're just a couple miles away from the beach here as they race down the backstretch, trying to get up to speed once again. Eddie Hawks, the man who sat on the pole with a little bit of help from SpongeBob there in the number 24 machine. Gotta say, that SpongeBob number 24 somewhat reminds me, Bob, of back when Jimmy Johnson ran SpongeBob's team in the number 48 mobile. I think he did that at California Speedway, if memory serves me correctly, back in the day. But a very cool-looking scheme there for Ben Mashburn. Mashburn going to slide into second, and looks like the 77, Dave Harvey, starting to make some noise now inside the top 5 in the Hisense Toyota Camry up there on the top side.
Yeah, what a great run there by Dave Harvey. A quiet run here in the first half of this race, but, at a place like Daytona, quiet is always a good thing. We had mentioned Garrett Gleason, Philip Scott there during the caution as well. Those are 2 other great drivers here at TNR. Haven't mentioned too much about them. They're the ones who are kind of hanging out towards the back, waiting for the big one to happen. But right now here at the front of the field, some great racing. Guys like Dave Harvey really pushing up through the field.
Yeah, all of these drivers really minding their P's and Q's here through the first portion of the race. Oh man, the number 4 machine there of DeMarco Starks almost giving a bumper to the number 70 of Chris Darling as they kind of accordion together. We watched this battle. The bright green, you can't miss him. 57 there of Josh Sobel running on the inside of the number 50 of Edwards. And we're going to have to get used to these new paint schemes, a lot of them out there this season, Bob, but great to see so many colors in the field. That's one thing that is really, really cool to see here tonight is just how vibrant some of these cars are. You can't miss that 77, that bright blue, the bright green of the 57, the bright yellow that Mashburn's got on the hood. Steve Reda also with a very bright number 3 mobile a little bit further back. You got the bright orange of the yellow transportation, number 70 of Chris Darling. So really cool to see these bright, vibrant colors here under the lights at Daytona.
Yeah, some fantastic paint jobs out there, and you know, in this league, we really have not only some fantastic and talented painters in and of themselves. We've got some great sponsors as well with Thornton Graphix, Billy Thornton, Chris Darling at Max Graphics. So some really just talented and beautiful looking cars out there tonight.
We're right on board here with Ben Izinga, and I gotta say, one thing that's cool about these Grand National cars is if you look at the dash. So this is a Toyota Supra. You look over there in the dash, right there by the hands of Ben Izinga. You got kind of almost like a real road car dash. But if you go to someone who's running, let's see, that's another Toyota JT Pool. Here we go. I think this is the Marco Starks, and you can see that dash is completely different. This is actually, I think, the dash of the Ford. But if you go to someone who's running like a Chevy, you'll see that it's even different. So it is cool to see the different dashboards on the different cars. Here we go on Chad Mikos. He's got a completely different dash. So it is cool to see that extra layer of realism that iRacing has.
Yeah, for sure. The just the different makes and having that. I guess the difference there, it's really cool, and I guess it all really comes down to driver preference of, you know, okay, I like having the tack here, I like having my water gauges over here versus over here, and I just love how exact iRacing is with the models of these cars.
And we watch Chad Mikos there in the number 25 machine, and who started on the outside pole, just minding his P's and Q's, as much of the field has been minding their P's and Q's for the first portion of this race. We look a little bit further back in the pack to some of the drivers that we haven't really focused on. There's JT Poole right now, kind of at the back of this lead train of cars. Got the number 26, the retro Toyota look on that car. That's, of course, what Toyota ran on all their racing cars back in the day. All of their factory cars, their IMSA GTP cars and the likes. And a very good look for that number 26 at JT Poole, currently running in the 17th position. Back behind him, James Orello has actually fallen back to a spot right in front of the 39 machine of Dustin Jones at Busch Beer Chevy Camaro right there in front of Ben Izinga. Then Mike Floppy Tellier is back there kind of hanging out. Stephen Kegman in the number 22 as well. There is Kegman in the South Point Chevrolet, very similar to what Brendan Gaughan used to run back in the day. And what about Jason Freeman? Got the win this past Friday night right here on 3-Wide TV. The Mason-Dixon Cornhole number 20. He was very, very fast last season. He is also kind of just riding around in the back portion of the pack, as well as your reigning series champion, Jason Gracias. So a couple of big names back here, but there is still a long way to go. 46 laps, 45 laps now as they flash across the start-finish line here at Daytona.
Yeah, Peter, plenty of time now for these drivers just to kind of hang back, log some laps. Really no need to try to push up and really push the issue so far up ahead. But looks like here, the 99 of Philip Scott, he's just a bit off the pace, lost the draft, and he's dropping back pretty far.
Yeah, this is Philip Scott, and Philip Scott right now, folks, I do apologize for any type of stuttering that we're having right now on the stream. But Philip Scott back there in the number 99 mobile, he is lost that draft. He's 26 seconds behind the race lead and losing time drastically. Same story for the number 44, Kyle Geveshausen. There he is running in 26. He is well off the pace as well, all by himself. And if I'm Kyle Geveshausen, I know right now I am 16 seconds in front of Philip Scott, but he might think actually about dropping back to where Philip Scott is. Just get on the brake just a little bit so they can pair up, because together they will be a lot better than just individual race cars out there. But we do have 25 cars in the lead pack as of right now. We go back up to the front because we have a new race leader. It is the number 50 of Bill Edwards right there, S2R on the hood, followed by Eddie Hawks and Ben Mashburn. And running there in fourth, Chad Mikos. And again, now things starting to get a little bit dicey here. 44 laps to go, and you see these drivers starting to make some aggressive moves there coming out of turn number 4.
Yeah, a little dicey there as the 45 of Hawks looking to try to make a move on the outside. Thinks better of it. He's got Ben Mashburn right there behind him. But, man, this is just getting a little dicey here. Still 43 laps to go, but if I'm a guy like Philip Scott and I'm just sitting here saying, man, I'm hoping these guys can get together a little bit more, throw out a caution so I can get caught back up to the rest of this field.
Yeah, and we'll see the field here racing off into turn number 3. They appear stage right. And oh, man, maybe a little bit of 3-wide action back there around the number 70 of Chris Darling. There he is in that yellow transportation Toyota Camry. Looks like they get things sorted out, but maybe still a little bit of side-by-side action back behind them. There's the number 49 machine of Chris Stewart. And Bob, they were pretty much 2x2x2. It seems like things all of a sudden started to break up, and all the drivers did a good job of, you know what, let's just back out of it. Let's reset. We can go back at it, but let's not make any contact, because you and I know a little bit of contact here at Daytona can lead to a lot.
Absolutely. It's always smarter just to kind of, let cooler heads prevail. Looks like they're trying to form up this outside line to take advantage of these leaders, led by Chris Darling now. Looks like he was able to get a bit of a run on the outside line, getting a good push here. But, it's always smarter to just, lay back. Don't want to be too aggressive here. We're halfway through the race, still plenty of time left, and just kind of ride around a bit for now.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they're doing up at the front. Here comes Chris Darling, though. As I say that, Chris Darling starting to get a little bit of a run with a little bit of help from JT Poole. Both of those drivers running in the National Sim Racing Association. And here comes Ben Mashburn. Mashburn and Chris Darling, those are two teammates trying to work together here as they flash down the backstretch. And now here comes Eddie Hawks. He says, you know what, that high line's got a little bit of momentum. I'm going to jump up to the top. And Eddie Hawks going to try and get a push. That inside groove now, just the 50 and the 25 of Edwards and Mikos working together down there. We got Ricky Williams there in the number 8, as well as I believe that is the number, is that the 38 of Vincent Valvano? It is indeed. So Valvano, fourth car on the inside line. They come to the line. Who's going to lead this lap? I think it was Edwards by just a fraction of a second.
Yeah, Edwards there got the lead there, but man, this is so nerve-wracking right now. Watching these drivers jostle to the left and right, just waiting for someone just to get a little bit loose, a little bit sideways, and hopefully that doesn't happen. But man, looking at out the window of the 57 here of Josh Sobel as the 24 of Mashburn and Hawks both drop down to the inside line, just nerve-wracking watching the guys in front just bounce back and forth.
Yeah, here we are, like you mentioned, on board with Sobel in the number 57, and he's got a good run here. He's pretty much the third car now on the outside group. You can just tell there's nowhere for him to go. He has to be patient at this point as we cross the stripe. 39 laps to go. We're in the final 100 miles of tonight's race. We thank all of you for joining us right here on 3Y TV. Ryder Lee Angle saying there's a surprising lack of wrecks here. And I gotta say, clean and green so far for the first half of the race, if we can make it just 2 more laps. Although we do have the lead pack catching up to the number 99 of Philip Scott. Remember, I mentioned that Philip Scott was in danger of going 1 lap down because he had lost the draft. You can see that pack right there. They have almost put him 1 lap down. We have been green flagged now for just about the last, I'd say, 14 laps or so. That's about how long it takes to go a lap down if you're by yourself. And Philip Scott here in a whole heap of trouble. But, of course, we do have lucky dogs here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. So if caution flag was to come out, and if he was the first car 1 lap down, he'd get back on the lead lap. But he's hoping for a caution here pretty soon.
Yeah, that the last time we showed Scott coming out of the corner, the pack was a decent ways away. Now we come back to his back bumper, and here's the pack right on him. So it just shows how much faster the rest of this pack is compared to one car by himself, and he's going to get past like he's sitting still.
Yeah, and he's up there on the top side of the racetrack, so it's going to take him a little bit to kind of filter back in with this lead group. Meanwhile, back at the front, we've missed it. Chris Darling in the yellow transportation Toyota Camry has got himself up to the point here tonight. Eddie Hawks, the biggest, most laps led of the night, led 19 laps. Bill Edwards has led 6. Jason Grassi is 4. Then Lorello, Darling, Maikos, and a couple of others have both led 1 lap. Now JT Poole getting a little bit of help from one of the NSRA boys. That's the number 57 of Josh Sobel, giving him a little bit of a nudge there, excuse me. And Steve Rada there starting to work his way up in the number 3. And oh man, almost contact there between Darling and Rada right there through turn number 3 and 4. They say off of one another. You pinch your pay sometimes, but they're able to hold off, and looks like the 57 now of Josh Sobel going to get up to the front.
Yeah, great push there by the 3 of Rada to get Sobel up to the point. Sobel drops down low now, and here comes Rada on the outside. He's got pushing help by, I believe that is the 49 of Chris Stewart, running a bit of a Bill Elliott 2000s Dodge look on his car on the outside as they come out of turn number 2.
Yeah, it's kind of a Bill Elliott slash Jeremy Mayfield look, but the funny thing is it's got Toyota emblazoned on it, not Dodge dealers emblazoned. Oh man, contact between the 70 and the 3. They're just rubbing fenders there going off into turn number 3, that is. And now you see the field now catching the 44, Kyle Geveshausen. Which way is Geveshausen going to go? He's going to stay on the bottom. They're going to go 3 wide here through the tri-oval, and the 44 just saying, you know what, I'm going to try and stay out of this the best I can. But so far, it looks like everyone able to get around Geveshausen. He'll go 1 lap down, similar to the number 99 of Philip Scott. Meanwhile, towards the back of this group, the number 97 machine, Mike Floppy Tellier, he's in his own little group here. There's a couple cars running together. That's the 39 of Jones, Izenga, Tellier, and Cam Caldwell there, as well as Maher in the 98 trying to hold on. Then we have a couple of cars a little bit further back, possibly playing a little bit too safe back there. Apologies for that. A little bit of connection issues on one of the cars. Not sure who. But there's the number 20 of Freeman running with the 22 of Kegman. And then further back, you got your reigning series champion, Jason Gracias. Garrett Gleason's back there as well in the number 7. And then it's even further back to Austin Grover in the 83, the AMD Chevrolet. Dave Harvey, remember Harvey was up there in that lead group. He's got a little bit of damage. Not sure where that damage came from in that Hisense machine. We'll see if we can zoom in and see if we can get a little bit better look. There it is. That is quite a lot of damage on the front end of that number 77 Toyota Supra. I don't know. I'll tell you what, Bob, that could be too much damage for that number 77 to be on pace tonight.
Yeah, and it's such a shame because Harvey had a pretty great run going here in the beginning half of this race. We saw him jump up right after the stage break to try to lead a couple of laps, but as we're taking a look at the pack now, just a little bit too much damage, and especially by himself, he is not going to be able to catch up to this pack. And right now, I guess he's just going to have to try to salvage as best as he can with 33 laps to go.
Definitely hoping for a caution flag. We're now in the back half of the race. 37 laps down, just 33 more to go. If you're doing the math at home, that's 2 laps past the halfway mark, and we have an extra half lap in that as these cars race down the backstretch. Sobel, Poole, and Darling, 1, 2, 3 as of right now. A Chevrolet leading 2 Toyotas, and then we got the Chevrolet of Maikos doing battle with the number 49 of Stewart here coming out of turn number 4, and there's the number 45, your pole sitter Eddie Hawks there running around the 7th position. But so far, clean and green, which is very surprising. The big question's going to be here, Bob, how much longer do you think these drivers can go? We know they're going to have to pit at some point here. If they can make it about 5 or 6 more laps, they can we will know they can make it to the end. But these drivers have to go about 5 or 6 more laps before thinking about coming down pit road if they want to make it their final stop.
Yeah, and Peter, that's one of those things where, okay, they have to get down to pit road, but the way these drivers are racing right now in this pack and in such close quarters, you're going to have to jump in onto the race chat and say, hey guys, I'm pitting, get ready, watch out. Because the last thing you need is to run over the guy in front of you, or have someone behind you run you over as you're trying to make your way down pit road, because it's just so close quarters racing when you're trying to get down to pit road and get down to pit road speed. It is tough to do here at Daytona.
Yeah, and it won't be all too long before we see the number 77 of Dave Harvey go one lap down. You can start to see that field is catching him in an absolute hurry. Same thing with Austin Grover. He's about 8 seconds up the road from this man we ride on board with right now.
13 pitting.
And 77 of Harvey. And it looks like Harvey here is just going to drop it below the apron and let the field on by. Not sure if he might have called it a night in that 77 machine, or at least he'll come down pit road and get some damage repaired on that race car. So we'll see. Oh, we got a bunch of takers on pit road as well. That is a whole bunch of cars starting to come down pit road. And we got drivers like Eddie Hawks coming down to his pit crew right now. So there he is in that number 45 machine. And I got to say, Bob, we know that these drivers are unable to make it from here to the end of the race. The reason I say that is because they pitted 24 laps ago. So they know that we can go about 24 laps on fuel. So with 30 laps to go, we know they'll have to make at least one more pit stop. Eddie Hawks down and away. Very quick pit stop for that number 45 machine. He's going to leave everyone in the dust. Here we go, looking at the race leader right now, Joshua Sobel. He's going to lead a group of cars down pit road. Sobel, JT Poole, Chris Darling. Poole locks them up, and Poole is going to go for a little bit of a spin in the number 26 machine. He gets it woed up, but not before he loses a ton of track position. We'll see that one here on replay.
Man, what a save there by Poole, but, this is something you have to have in the back of your mind now. Did he flat spot those tires? It could really cause a bit of a vibration once he gets back up to speed if he's not changing it up. And, oh, man, what a great drift there. Able to lock it up, slow the car down, stay off the wall, but he just lost a ton of time, and I'm sure he's killed the tires now.
Meanwhile, still out there on the racetrack, we expect to see them coming down pit road this time. The number 8 of Ricky Williams, the 97 of Mike Hoppy-Tallier, Cam Caldwell, Tristan Maher, and Stephen Kegman. This is a gaggle of 5 cars, and they will peel down off the racing surface and onto pit road, coming in very hot. Hopefully they're able to get down to pit road speed. But this will be the last group of cars to come down pit road before everything cycles on through. And presumably we will figure out who the race leader is going to be here in just a minute. There's Josh Sobel. Remember, he was one of the first cars to come down pit road. Got the number 70 of Chris Darling right back behind him. Great job by the 57 and the 70. Looks like they're able to get out front very, very nice and neatly with Chad Mikos in the 25 right behind him. But what we're starting to see here, Bob, is possibly this pit stop really start to stratify the field. We see this at super speedways fairly often, and here tonight seems like we're at that point where we might have smaller groups out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, we saw this a few times last season, especially at the super speedways, where things just got right after the pit stops. Things just got more spread out, and these drivers, smaller groups, smaller packs. But it's going to be interesting to see if this, if the tandem drafting is going to be able to get some of these cars further back, caught up with some of the lead drivers.
Yeah. So now, if you're like Eddie Hawks right now, he's got Lorello, Dustin Jones, Ben Izinga, Chris Stewart all lined up behind him. They're going to have to stay in line. They're going to have to work together. They're just going to have to stay nose to tail for as long as they can. Looks like JT Poole in the number 26 machine, after that long slide that he had, he's going to pick up the back of this group. This is 6th all the way through 11th right now. Meanwhile, up at the front, there's a 5-car breakaway. You see it right there of Sobel, Darling, Mikos, Mashburn, and Rada. So all of those drivers running together out there on the racetrack. So now it's just going to be whether or not these smaller packs can close in on the bigger packs. The drivers now starting to work together to try and make ground on the car in front. There's Tristan Maher. He's kind of all by himself. He does have Mike Floppy Tellier behind him, but the interesting thing is whether or not he's going to be able to catch the car in front. Does he have enough of a draft off the cars in front that he's able to close in on them? You can see from the lap time right there, Maher was about 0.3 of a second faster than JT Poole that last lap. So that kind of indicates that, yes, he is closing in on that group of cars up in front of him. That'd be good. That would add an extra car to that group who are trying to run down your top 5 of Sobel, Darling, Mashburn, Maikos, and Rada. About 3 seconds up the road from that second group of cars with 26 laps to go. But we do know, Bob, one more pit stop will be necessary to get these guys to the checker flag.
For sure, and I'm sure a lot of these drivers were kind of sitting there and hoping and kind of gambling for a caution so they can get down pit road. Don't forget, these drivers all have one fast repair if they're involved in the big one. And, we've seen it time and time again where cautions will breed cautions. So these drivers all, on one hand, hoping that it stays green the rest of the way. The other hand, kind of wishing for a yellow so they can get down pit road in a little bit. They just pitted, obviously, now as the 97 and 98 both able to catch up to that pack ahead of them. But, this is one of those things where they're just kind of hoping to get that caution so they can get bunched back up and try to hunt down the leaders some more.
Here is the number 2 machine. That is Chris James, currently being scored 35 laps down. Was one of the drivers who was really not able to start here tonight. But that number 2 Ford Mustang out there on the racetrack finally doesn't yet have any sponsors on that car. Maybe an underfunded team, if you will. But Chris James out there now picking up this group of cars, which I'm sure this group of cars will be glad to have Chris James in that group just to try and help close in on the lead train. In fact, we'll see if we can bring up, the previous lap time so you can kind of see what these drivers are running. 47.7s first through fifth and 47.9 for Eddie Hawks. So this group of cars lost about 0.2 of a second that last time by. We'll see if they can pick it up this time by to see if they can continue to mount that charge now that they have more numbers. And you and I know, Bob, more numbers is usually a good thing here at these super speedways.
For sure, and I'm sure that 0.2 of a second loss was for them to catch up on the 2 machine of Chris James. So now that they've got James there with him, he's drafting in line with the rest of these drivers. I'm looking to see this pack try to pick up a little bit more, but as I say that, the 26 JT Poole gets shuffled a little bit to the outside, and he's going to get freight train back.
Yeah, I wonder if JT was having a little bit of an overheating issue on that car. Maybe that's why he jumped out like he did, not 100% sure, but is kind of unlike JT to kind of jump out like that. I've been watching him, in the National Sim Racing Association over the last couple of months here on 3YT on Friday nights, and he's one of those drivers, very smart, very calm in the race car behind the wheel, and JT here now going to slot all the way back to 13th position as we're watching the 6th place Eddie Hawks lead this group of cars. And looks like the number 2 machine having some connection issues as he seemed to disappear from the racetrack once again. Hopefully he can get that all sorted out. Maybe he's having those issues. Maybe that's why he was unable to start this race here tonight. Meanwhile, a little bit further back, this is still on the lead lap. This is another group of cars. We're looking right now at the 18th place of Vincent Valvano. Jason Gracias leading this 5-car train of cars. He is currently running 14th right now. Your reigning Total Nonstop Racing League Thornton Graphix Grand National Series champion, right in front of the number 20 of Jason Freeman.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what the strategy is for these guys. Obviously, they're a little bit further back in the pack right now. Gracias just 6, almost 7 seconds behind 13th place JT Poole, whom we're watching in that group of cars ahead of them. So I'm really interested to see what the strategy is for these guys further back in the pack. And, Peter, as a driver, how frustrating is it to be in a position like this, like Jason Gracias, Jason Freeman, where you're kind of in that bit of a third pack and just kind of riding around logging laps?
It is very frustrating to be in that situation because there is not much that you can do because you just don't have any cars to draft with. You know, maybe your pit stop didn't go quite to plan. You know, maybe you overshot your pit box, which is the number one thing not to do on a super speedway from my experience is don't overshoot your pit box. Whatever you do, don't overshoot your pit box. Speeding on pit road, in my opinion, is less of a sin at a super speedway than going through your pit box. Yes, it might be a bigger time loss, but you're trying to get every little bit of time getting onto pit road, but there's not a lot of time to be made up or lost getting into your pit box. There just isn't. So what happens is drivers lock up the brakes, they slide through their pit box, and they lose a ton of time they don't need to. You know, so don't do that. Some drivers, like like Garrett Gleason, we saw him slide through his pit box. You can't do that on super speedways, and these drivers are going to be tested again because we know one more pit stop here in the near future.
Now, as we're taking a look here at the second pack again, Eddie Hawks here in 6th, and it looks like they're picking up a little bit of time now. 1.7 seconds, 1.6 seconds now between this pack and the lead pack with the top 5 drivers. Steve Rada there in 5th place as we're watching Eddie Hawks right now, and there they are on the outside of your screen there on the left-hand side by the ticker. They're getting close. They were able to add some more drivers here as we were taking on board, I believe, of the 45 of Hawks. We're seeing that lead pack right there, and if they're able to catch, man, this is going to be some exciting racing here with less than 20 laps to go.
Yeah, and you can see that front pack is now picked up Garrett Gleason, who's fallen one lap down, and in front of Gleason, I think that's the 22 of Kegman who might no, excuse me, that not sure who that is in front of the number 7 of Gleason. That actually might be the number 99 of Philip Scott, who might have actually fallen 2 laps down in that race car. But you can see that that kind of dropped that gap, Bob, and gave that second group of cars even more draft. They really closed in that lap, and now they're just going to jump to the outside of Gleason. This is going to be a battle here towards the end of this race.
Man, what a huge run there by Hawks. Hawks getting a little bit of a push from Lorello as they're trying to get around the 99 of Philip Scott. But man, what a huge jump he was able to get around the 7 of Gleason, and it really catapulted him to this outside line.
That front group of 5 cars has been caught. Even though they have stayed nose to tail in line with one another, that second group of cars finally able to run them down. And looking at my numbers, we're about 11 laps away from these drivers making their final pit stop. It's going to be a splash of fuel only for a good majority of the field. The pit window is now open. They can make it the rest of the way from this present moment in time. We'll kind of flip over at the top of the screen just to show you that, you know, it's been 13 laps since Sobel, Darling, Mashburn are on pit road. We know we can go about 23 laps. So how long will it be until these drivers decide to head down pit road? They're going to be talking with their teammates. They're going to be talking with other drivers who they are working with to try and figure out when will be that time that they come down pit road. But as of right now, 13 cars are in the lead pack, and then it's about 12 seconds back to Jason Gracias, who leads a 5-car train back there.
Yeah, and you know, we've been saying it all race long, 2 heads are better than 1. More cars are going to be a lot more faster. So if I'm Jason Gracias, I am really hoping for a caution right now to try to get my group of cars back caught up to the main pack, because, you know, with this many cars in the lead draft, it's going to be a really tall order, close to impossible for him to catch up at this point with only 15 laps to go.
Yeah, that number 45 machine there, Eddie Hawks, been a stellar run for him here tonight. Definitely leading that charge to catch that lead pack. Very, very impressive by that second group to close in. Meanwhile, it seems like we've had a couple of takers on pit road, Bob, because the lead pack, we didn't see it happen. At least I didn't see it happen. But we did have some drivers seem to peel off pit road, come down. Ben Izenga, Chris Stewart, Dustin Jones, Bill Edwards all coming down pit road that last time. As well as the number 13 of James Lorello.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. A little bit of a strategy call there, as these guys, if they're able to stay together they're good to go for the rest of this race. So it'll be interesting to see where they come out versus the lead pack when they do have to pit. And man, this is going to be interesting.
Now, the good thing about pitting all by yourself, Bob, kind of as a small group, is the fact that you don't have to worry about jostling to get down to that pit road speed. You can give each driver a lot of room, and you can just get on the brakes kind of leisurely, and that can sometimes be a big benefit. The bad thing is when you get back out there to the racetrack, you only have 3 cars. We've talked about numbers. Numbers can be so important. The bigger the number of cars that are lined up together, the stronger it was. That's why that second group of cars was able to run down the front pack of only 5. When it was about 8 versus 5, 8 was able to do the work. But now, the 3 cars that we just saw together, which include Izenga, Lorello, and Stewart, now they just have to wait for other cars to come down pit road. We do have currently have cars on pit road. The number 1 machine, your reigning series champion, Jason Gracias, Jason Freeman, DeMarco Starks, those 3 drivers now on pit road. I don't think they will come out with that lead group. Look at Tristan Maher up there in the 98 machine. He's trying to do it all by himself, but here comes your lead pack of cars. Sobel leading them down here for the final pit stops. Maiko's coming in hot in the number 25 machine, but they're able to make it work.
Yeah, a bit of tire smoke from some of those guys further back there, but obviously with 12 laps to go, you can't risk taking 4 tires when everyone else is getting fuel, so you're kind of stuck with the shoes you're given. Here's, looks like the 26 might have gotten into pit wall as he was trying to get into pit road. Let's see if that's going to affect the aero of his car as they get back out here, but a good stop there by the 25 of Maiko's Chris Darling, Mashburn, everyone else pretty much down and away.
Yeah, Maiko's had a stellar pit stop in that number 25 Mountain Dew Game Fuel Chevy Camaro and was able to leapfrog out front of the number 70 of Chris Darling, but Darling has his teammate Ben Mashburn back behind him. Tristan Maher, Ricky Williams, and Vincent Valvano, 3 cars who are still out there on the pit road. Here comes the 98 and the 99. They're going to come down together. Philip Scott 2 laps down. I know we have Philip Scott fans in the chat who will be very disappointed with the way tonight's race has gone for that number 99 mobile, but hopefully he can help his teammate Tristan Maher or the 97 of Mike Tellier to the checkered flag here tonight. Here's that group of 4 cars, which actually includes the number 97 machine of Mike Floppy Tellier as they come down to the start-finish line. All 3 of those cars behind Maiko's going to drop him to the inside line. Doesn't have any help down there. He will go from 1st to 4th very quickly in that train of cars. And now look at the 13 machine, James Orello. Remember, we said how it could be bad for him to be in that little 2-car gaggle. Well, now he's rejoined the fray up at the front of the field.
And we were talking earlier before this race how Lorello is a very strong driver, and we're seeing it right now. He's able to fight his way through the field. He's right now on the back bumper of the 70 of Chris Darling as they head in turn number 3. Here's the 98 of Tristan Maher fresh off of pit road, and just watch as he gets completely blown by the leaders here, as doesn't have all that much drafting help. Actually, doesn't have any drafting help as the rest of this pack flies by him.
And now Ben Mashburn going to get to the front. Oh, man, that almost looked like it was going to be a bumper hook there of the number 24 by the number 97. Mashburn and Tellier running together. Just 10 more laps, 25 miles to go here at Daytona for the number 24 of Mashburn, trying to pick up his first win of his total nonstop racing career. Looks like he got a little bit of loose coming out of turn number 2. Might have got a little bit of help from the number 97. Now we go 3 wide down the backstretch.
Yeah, Tellier there was just really stuck there. He didn't want to drop down in front of Mashburn to get turned. Didn't want to go up any higher to get into the 70 of Chris Darling. So a really smart heads-up play, staying in the middle, holding his line, dropping back just enough, but he's still in this lead pack as things are getting dicey as they head down through the tri-oval.
How about this 3 wide here on 3 wide TV? The 70 and the 25 working together there in the middle. These cars look like they're starting to get a little bit dicey. Now Maiko's trying to do it all by himself up there through the middle. They're still 3 wide. They're bumping and banging through turn number 1 and 2.
Here's Maiko's through the middle on the middle, has got Lamarillo on the outside, or Lorello rather on the outside. Oh, trouble! The 24 gets sideways. He's going to drive off down there. There's the 84 of Matt Monticelli as well, and let's take a look at the replay to see what happened here.
We stay green flag. This happened off the racetrack. There was a bump between the 17 and the 13 that went wrong, and Mashburn getting turned right there. The 84 and the 24 having a coming together, and that is just Ben Mashburn's luck here on 3Y TV. He never seems to have any good luck, and once again, getting turned around. Matt Monticelli also getting the bad end of it. Monticelli there smoking there on the backstretch, and we are going to have a caution flag. We'll see if that caution flag was for this. I believe it was. Looks like they were able to throw a caution flag, and looks like we are going to have a shootout here at Daytona for the win here in the Daytona 175.
Man, what a tough break. Both the 84 and the 24. Two drivers having a really good, quiet race. Ben Mashburn, wrong place, wrong time there, as the 17 might have, I believe he might have gotten into the wall, got down. Let's take a look here. Slow-mo just got hooked a little bit by the 97 from this angle, at least. Got into the 84. 24 sideways across the track, trying to lock it up. And then 84 out of nowhere just gets right into the 24, and that'll just about do it there. And unfortunately, those are two of the three drivers that were part of the Shibby Shack Dash for Cash. So a very tough break for both those drivers.
Yeah, you said it, and we go a little bit further back because you could kind of feel this storm brewing here when they were three wide. There's that initial contact between them. Now watch the 13 and the 17. I think the 13 might have just got a bump a little bit too much, and that's kind of what led to the snowball effect. We watched the 84 Monticelli. Man, that was some pretty heavy contact there with Ben Mashburn. And I got to say, Ben Mashburn, just rotten luck here on this channel. I don't think I have seen a race, rarely have I seen a race where Ben Mashburn's able to walk out of it with no issues at the end of it. It just seems like he's always in the wrong place at the wrong time here on the channel, but definitely going to be a tough break for both of them. Meanwhile, up at the front, it's kind of a tough break for the top 5 or 6 cars because they were all in very prime condition to take home the checkered flag. But you and I know, Bob, cautions, A, breed cautions, but B, in this race, they can change everything.
Yeah, for sure, especially here at Daytona. 6 laps to go. We'll probably get the restart with maybe about 4 or 5 laps to go. Man, this is just going to be some tough, exciting racing. If we saw that get a little bit dicey, I can only imagine where it's going to go from here.
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see. It looks like the number 77 machine of Dave Harvey was able to get waved around. So there he is in that Hisense Toyota Supra. Now, here's the good news about Dave Harvey. Is not only is he picking up the Lucky Dog, Bob, but he was actually able to use one of his fast repairs as well on that Toyota Supra. Remember, we saw him with all that damage on that race car. Well, it's going to work out for him here as he's currently being scored in 22nd, but with all that damage repaired, he will get himself back on the lead lap. Looks like we're going to have 22 cars when we go back green here shortly. We might have a couple takers on pit road. There's Steve Rada in the number 3 machine. There's actually some good damage on the front of that race car. Not sure if he's used his fast repair or not, but if he hasn't used his fast repair, I'm kind of surprised he hasn't, but you can definitely see the damage on that race car. Also, some drivers this caution flag worked out for. The number 12 machine, Cam Caldwell, he's going to come down pit road, get some fresh tires on that car. I want to see if Ben Mashburn, looks like Mashburn was able to use a fast repair as well in the number 24 Toyota Supra. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all pans out. We had, looks like to me, 12 cars stay out, and the rest of the field on back decided to come down pit road. So maybe some drivers on fresh tires, it looked like it might have been getting a little bit slippery out there. So we'll have to see whether or not those fresh tires are beneficial if drivers did take any. Meanwhile, as the cars go across the start-finish line, Bob, 5 more laps to go here at Daytona, and caution lights are out. 4-lap shootout, 10 miles. To decide the winner here in just a lap from now.
This is just going to be absolutely crazy for a finish. 4 laps on the inside. We got the 70 of Chris Darling. On his outside, the 97 of Mike Floppy Tellier. And behind him, a couple of great pushers. We seen the 25 of Chad Mikos have some great runs earlier on in this race. He's been fantastic with pushing, but on his outside. Look at that, a couple of teammates, the 97 and the 98. 98 there would be Tristan Maher. And, you know, it's always beneficial to have your teammate behind you. You can, you know, jump in your team chat and say, hey, all right, I'm getting ready to go. Okay, give me the push now, ready, I'm going. You know, the communication is so key, especially here on restarts on super speedways. So this is going to be quite the 4-lap shootout.
And speaking of that communication, we have, you know, different channels here in the Discord that we are on. And Discord is the software that they use for all these drivers to kind of communicate with one another. We got multiple teams in here. Max Graphics Racing, 4 drivers all locked up together who are going to be, you know, communicating with one another. The WAFI team, 4 drivers. They're all going to be working together. Then Ben Izenga, Bell Edwards, Dustin Jones, James Zorello. They're all going to be working together here in these final 4 laps. And then, of course, we have a big group of people kind of in the main lobby. But it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers react to a 4-lap shootout. It's been crazy so far, and the green flag going to wave here again at Daytona. Darling out to a big jump here as we go back green.
A huge jump there by Darling, and he's able to have the field reel him back in just a little bit. Like I had said at the beginning of this race, you do not want to be too far ahead because you are going to be swallowed up in a hurry. And look at that. As I say that, Maikos goes to the inside, to the lead, gets around Chris Darling as they head through turn number 2.
Yeah, fantastic job there by Maikos to use that opportunity. Darling gave him a little bit of room there going off into turn number 1, and he took it. Darling now trying to get a run here down the backstretch. A little bit of help from Lorello in the SQR machine, but keep an eye on that number 49. Chris Stewart there trying to make some noise in that Toyota Supra. This is going to be a good finish. 3 more laps to go in the 26 of Poole. What a save there in the back. We'll stay with the lead pack, but JT Poole could have just pulled off the save of the year.
Wow, shades of Kyle Busch from a few years ago, able to get that car sideways, somehow was able to save it and not cause a huge wreck as we're still green, heading off into turn number 1. No, sideways a little bit was the 97 of Mike Tellier after getting a bit of a shove from his teammate, Tristan Maher.
Yeah, and the number 17 of Izenga tried to go up the middle, and it was 3 wide. Meanwhile, back up the front, Tellier got nudged around. But right now, the 25 machine of Maikos, he's having to fend off. He's looking out of that rear mirror. He's trying to figure out, do I go high, do I go low? But for right now, Chad Maikos continues to lead here at Daytona. He has just 5 more miles to get the checkered flag here at Daytona.
Maikos down low through the tri-oval now. He's got the 13 of James Lorello on his outside, the 70 of Chris Darling right on his back bumper. What great racing so far that we've seen here tonight. Maikos is going to lead the field down into turn number 1.
And look at that number 45, Eddie Hawks creeping back into the picture. He was your pole sitter here tonight in that Chevy Camaro, U.S. Air Force on the hood of that car. Maikos gets turned and into the wall. The big one at Daytona. Car going up and over. There goes the 1 machine of Gracias, and the 83 of Grover gets involved. The big one strikes with 2 laps to go right at the front of the field.
Man, we all could feel this one coming. I'm sure everyone in chat could feel that one coming as well. Just some great pressure put on by the 70 of Chris Darling. Might have gotten into the 25 just a little bit too much. And yeah, he got right on the right quarter panel, sent the 25 spinning. And man, looks like Hawks was able to get through it. The 49 of Edwards able to get through it. But I feel like it's easier to mention some of the drivers who weren't a part of that wreck after just carnage here on the back straightaway at Daytona.
That was absolute carnage. You are absolutely right. Oh my, that's not what you want to have here at Daytona at this present point in the race. We'll see if we can go kind of on board with one of the drivers who was able to sneak on through. Here we are on board with Cam Caldwell in the number 12 machine. Watch this all go down in front of him. There's the smoke. He goes down below the yellow line. Watch these cars just kind of jostling all around. Gets back up on the racetrack just in the right time. But boy, that is the wrong time for the big one to strike. Meanwhile, we are going to have a green-white checker here. That's right. Green-white checkers are a thing here at Daytona. And for Chad Maikos, he's going to have to go use one of those fast repairs. Very, very tough break for the man who's been so fast here tonight, and Chad Maikos.
And just a quick overview of the overtime rules. We have up to 3 green-white checkered finishes here to try to give the fans, a finish under green. And it's, man, this is just going to be an intense restart and an intense finish. Just seeing, okay, if I'm Chris Darling, I'm the leader right now. Where am I going to go? Do I take the inside line? Do I take the outside line? Who would I rather have pushing me as the green flag waves? And, with Daytona, I don't really know if there's much of an advantage restarting on the bottom lane or the top lane. Peter, from your experience, is there any advantage?
It's my personal preference, as there goes the number 99, Philip Scott, getting one of his laps back. It's my personal preference to start down there on the inside groove. I always feel like that's the groove that if you can get a good enough jump and you can get a car behind you. Now, a good jump here at Daytona is actually getting a solid jump with the car behind you rolling at just about the same time, so you're almost locked nose to tail. But if you can get that inside line rolling, then you can block the outside line. You can actually move up in front of that outside line coming out of turn number 2 if you're clear of them. Meanwhile, if that inside line doesn't get a good start, then you can usually get a little bit better start on the outside. And the reason why you can do that is because the outside line has a disadvantage at most tracks in that it's difficult to see the car next to you. So usually that outside line is reactionary to when the car is most visible on the left-hand side. You have limited visibility in iRacing when you're behind the wheel, and you also have limited visibility, especially if you're running a single monitor. So that outside line, usually the car in second doesn't get a great restart, but the car behind them in fourth gets a pretty good restart. So you have two cars that together are very much nose to tail and can get formed up a little bit better than the inside groove sometimes can. So it really depends on the situation. I prefer the inside groove because I think that gives you a spot to defend, but that outside line is not a bad spot to be in as well. As you're looking at a couple of the cars right there with damage. Looks like the 49 of Chris Stewart has a little bit of nose on the damage on the front end. The 57, we saw him make contact with the number 13 of Lorello as well. So going to be a couple of damaged cars, with at least a little bit of damage right up here at the front of the field. We'll have to see how that impacts the 2-lap shootout we're going to have here at Daytona.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be interesting. And right now, Peter, it looks like the 70 of Chris Darling is going to elect to take the inside for the restart. He'll have the 57 machine of Josh Sobel giving him a bit of a shove as we go green. The lights on the pace car are off, so we'll be getting ready for that 3-lap or 2-lap shootout as they come to the line. And look who's there on the outside. The pole sitter. He won the stage break. The 45 of Eddie Hawks on his outside, looking to try to play spoiler here at the first race of the season.
Yeah, that number 45 machine definitely trying to get to the finish line first, much like every other car in the field now. Gotta be interesting, I gotta say, Bob, to see whether or not we're gonna see another caution here. Cautions breed cautions here at Daytona. We just could tell how antsy these drivers were under that 2-lap green flag run that we just had. We'll see now with 2 laps separating them to the finish. As the green flag going to wave once again, Chris Darling on the inside groove. He got off to a pretty good start, but there goes the 57 of Sobel. Sobel also got a good start, and now you're starting to see that inside groove. Got a good start, but now here comes the 57 Sobel. Sobel able to slice his way up to the top side right in front of Eddie Hawks, and they're side by side for the race lead.
I was interested to see what the 45 did. The 45 looked like he jumped down to the inside line instead of electing to take the outside. Then he quickly jumped outside. He's got Sobel right on his front bumper as the field comes down the back straightaway.
And now Chris Darling has Jason Freeman on his back bumper. Where did he come from? He hasn't made a lot of noise tonight in that number 20 machine. But now here he is with 2 laps to go. He's got himself up to the second spot, trying to clear Sobel. But Sobel still got the pole sitter, the 45 of Eddie Hawks, back behind him. And here we go. White flag going to be in the air this time. They're wrecking out back. Who was that? There was someone going down into the grass. I couldn't quite see who it was, but there seems to be wrecking towards the back of the pack. That's not the back of the pack. There's the back of the pack. We'll have to get an eye on exactly what went down, but we're still green flag because we got to the white flag before the caution flag would have waved. Halfway down the backstretch, Chris Darling continuing to lead here at Daytona. Here comes Freeman. Freeman going to jump to the outside in front of the 57 of Josh Sobel.
Heading down through turn number 3 right now, Josh Sobel getting a good push on the 20 of Jason Freeman, but Chris Darling still on the inside. Oh, they touch sideways. A few cars go in there in the wall. The 24 of Mashburn in there, 7 of Gleason, Harvey, but the field will still stay green. Coming to the line, let's see who gets it. And the checkered flag, it looks like, is out. Chris Stewart, rather, led them to the line.
No, it was Stephen Kegman who was able to slice his way through. How about that? Live timing and scoring wasn't updating. I was trying to figure out who the leader was, and it was Stephen Kegman who wins at Daytona.
Wow. What a finish.
Live timing and scoring having a little bit of a hiccup right there at the end of the race, unable to figure out who was the race winner because of all this madness went down. And look at the number 22 of Kegman, who's able to slice his way through, got a little bit of a luck there, and gets that 22 righted. And that's the best thing you can see as a race car driver. Flash bulbs going off, no cars around you, and winning at Daytona. How about that?
Wow. That was incredible. An incredible piece of driving there by Stephen Kegman. He was down. He had the 70 of Darling get into his passenger side door, was sideways, getting back up onto the banking. Somehow he's able to keep it going in a straight line and wound up driving off with a win. Let's take a look on board now of Kegman as we see the 70 get together. A couple of other cars come down. 24 gets taken out, and man, just drifting through turn 4. And Kegman, empty track ahead, plenty of room behind. He's going to drive off as the winner of the Thornton Graphix 175 here at Daytona.
That was a wild finish, and I got to say, very tough break for the number 70 machine of Chris Darling, because by what I saw, they're going off into the corner, and we'll definitely slow this down. He's got his teammate right behind him, Ben Mashburn. They're running off into the corner. I think this might have been a little bit of net code here between the 70 and the 20. There might have, no, there's still, there might have been a little bit of contact there. I don't know. That still might have been a little bit of net code there between them. Unfortunately, Eddie Hawks getting involved. Man, that's a tough break there for the 45. Look at Garrett Gleason there in the 7 machine coming in like a wrecking ball in that Lowe's Home Improvement inspired Total Nonstop Racing Chevrolet. What about Dave Harvey? Talk about a recovery story. Harvey slicing his way up to 3rd before the start-finish line in that Hisense Toyota. But Stephen Kegman, out of nowhere, the 22 crosses the start-finish line to pick up the checkered flag. My, oh my, this is going to be some interesting post-race interviews for sure.
That's for sure, man. Kegman coming out of nowhere, getting the win. Chaos ensuing on the last lap as we had the wreck just before they took the white flag, or just as they took the white flag, rather. And now this, just, wow, what a finish here on the season opener here in the Total Nonstop Racing League.
Yeah, Stephen Kegman picking up the win here, his first win here in the Total Nonstop Racing League reboot. And, man, I have to say, watch this number 22. So happy. Burn it down right here on the front stretch of the Daytona International Speedway. Can't blame him. Super stoked to get the win here tonight.
Man, what an accomplishment to win. This league is so hard to win in, especially now with getting so many more talented drivers from the National Sim Racing Association and pretty much just all over iRacing. Some talented drivers, and great to see Stephen Kegman get the win here tonight at Daytona.
Absolutely. He's going to run that thing out of fuel, I do believe, in that South Point Chevrolet. I know Brendan Gaughan had some good luck here at Daytona over the years, and perhaps that's why he brought that Brendan Gaughan-inspired paint scheme here tonight. But definitely going to be an interesting one here, folks. We're going to take a brief step away, line up some post-race interviews for you, so don't go anywhere. They're going to be good. Be right back. All right, folks, welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. A very crazy and wild finish to this one here tonight. And one driver who had a really wild night and was able to slice and dice his way to a third-place podium finish here tonight. I'm with him right here. Dave, great to have you once again on the Total Nonstop Racing podium right here. But your race didn't go to plan. We looked away for a little bit, and all of a sudden, the front end of that Toyota Supra completely crinkled in there around the halfway mark. First off, I want to know what happened then, and what happened there in those final few laps, because you restarted quite deep in the field.
I wasn't sure who it was, but somebody got loose and got into me, and I hit the wall. But I used the quick fix and then got that lucky dog late, and then I was like 20 or something, and I'm not really sure what happened.
I gotta say, getting that lucky dog late, I was a bit surprised. I was really glad to see you get back on the lead lap. Did you have some pit strategy, or how were you able to get into that lucky dog position there, right there with about 4 laps to go?
Yeah, I was gonna run it dry because there's no point in finishing 26th or whatever. So
Well, that gamble really, really paid off for you here as the seas kind of parted right there at the end of the race. You're able to slice and dice your way up through. And, hopefully we can see you this entire season. I know last year you kind of ran a partial season in the 2020 B series. You're going to be back for the rest of the season this year?
yeah, it should be full time.
All right, well that is awesome to hear. But you know what, we got some great races coming up on the calendar. Any particular races this season that you really are looking forward to? I mean, we got Rockingham, Homestead, Miami, Myrtle Beach, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Gateway, Talladega, Coca-Cola. We're even go to Coca-Cola. I mean, it's gonna be a wild series. Any particular races you're looking forward to?
I haven't even really looked at the schedule, but anything except super speedways.
Well, I got to say, you walked away with a third place finish here tonight, so they can't be 100% on your bad side, at least for tonight. But Dave, I know you have some shout outs to give, so let's hear them.
Yeah, thanks to Garrett for putting the league on and all the admins and you guys, and great job to Steve on the win.
Absolutely. And folks, Dave and I, back in the day, we were teammates back in the AMRL days, amongst other series that we used to race together. So Dave and I, we go quite a ways back. But as always, great to have you up here in the 3Y TV booth, and good luck next week at Rockingham.
Thanks.
All right, that's going to do it for tonight's third place interview. But speaking of second place, it's about time to do the second place interview. And I believe Bob Giacinto's caught up with Chris Stewart.
I do. Chris Stewart, congratulations. Second place finish here at Daytona. Definitely quite an interesting way to get the second place finish. Take me through that last lap, just a whole bunch of chaos.
Yeah, I kind of expected it. It's Daytona, right? I don't really know what happened. It almost looked like the 70 kind of slipped up, but it also felt like there's a little bit of net code there. The next thing I know, I was in the middle of a sandwich and just kept my foot in it at that point and somehow made it to the line in second.
And, just this track, obviously, it's tough. It's unpredictable. Super speedway racing. How tough is it to try to stay focused, especially there in the midway point through this race when everyone was kind of spread out for the most part after the green flag pit stops? How hard is it to kind of stay focused and just kind of run your race and ride along and just try to get caught up to that lead pack?
Especially tough for me because I am in no way a plate racer. I'm actually shocked to find out that I finished second. If you would have asked me at the start of this race, where would I be? I'd probably tell you somewhere near the back. But yeah, it's kind of one of those things. Kind of how I look at every race. So I just kind of stay patient and bide my time. There's plenty of time left in the race at that point. So there's no point in trying to, shove anybody up there to the front. Because, anything can happen. So it was kind of just, keep the blinders on and run your race and stay patient and try not to wreck anybody.
Fair enough. And, next week we're moving to Rockingham for the race. Tell me about, are you looking forward to it? Is it, just another track or what are your thoughts going to Rockingham next week?
I do like Rockingham. It's different. It's a whole new challenge. It's so bumpy. It's one of those places where you kind of have to really drive the car. You can't, race the people. You got to race the track. So it's a lot of fun. And I think being patient there is going to pay off pretty well. But I'm also looking forward to the rest of the schedule. Looking at it now, like Homestead, love that track. Myrtle Beach, love it. Montreal, that's going to be an interesting one. But yeah, schedule's looking real good this year.
And speaking of the schedule, are there any tracks that you kind of have a giant red circle saying, hey, this is my race to lose? I'm super excited to go there. Any tracks in particular for you?
There's a few that I'm really excited to get to. I wouldn't say they're my race to lose by any means. But yeah, Myrtle Beach, pretty much all the short tracks. It's kind of my bread and butter. So we'll see what happens there. Homestead for sure. For some reason, I just do really well at that track. And then there's a couple that I'm not looking forward to. Pocono and Dover's absolutely terrible for me. But beyond that, schedule's looking real nice.
Awesome. Well, Chris, before we let you go, do you have any shout outs that you want to give?
Yeah, Jimmy Babs, he couldn't make it tonight. Doc Stout, DeMarco, I think he finished somewhere in the top 10. I'm not 100% certain. And Jerry Glenn and the rest of the guys over there. We don't really have a team name anymore, but they keep us, keep us focused and keep us on here. And it's always good to have fun with them. So.
Awesome. Well, Chris, congratulations. Second place finish here for the season opener. And we're looking forward to having you here race with us for the 2021 season.
Yeah, you bet. It's been fun. Coming in late to the ARCA series and now running this. It's been fun, and hopefully we can have a little chat next week.
Awesome. Sounds like a plan. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. See ya.
All right, well, that's going to do it for your second place interview. For real this time. And now we're going to have to figure out who's down in victory lane, and it's this man right here. The number 22, Stephen Kegman, started 27th here tonight, did not put a time in qualifying from 27th to 1st. And the big number right there at the center of the screen, 1 lap led. But Stephen, it was the money lap. Taking home checkered flag here in the Daytona 175. We had a couple of overtimes, a couple of late race cautions to figure out who was going to walk away with it. But Stephen, you did so. What a finish there at the end.
I did it. Nice talking to you guys finally after a full year.
Yeah, you finally able to get to victory lane. and really an up-down night for you. I mean, you
Oh, yeah.
definitely had a lot of pace going on at the beginning, and then you know what, a long race, a lot of green flag running, the field really getting spread out, and then those cautions there at the end really got you in the mix. What was going through your head with that caution flag that finally came out with about 8 laps to go?
I actually at the first pit stop, I only took 2 tires, and I wasn't prepared for how loose it was going to make me coming off on the apron. So I actually spun and got in the grass, and I was going to run out of fuel at the end there if the caution didn't come out. So I'm glad it did, so I can get fuel and tires. And I don't know why so many people pit after that first green white checkered, but man, I've peaked now. Can I retire? Is that a thing I can do?
Hey, you will possibly, not for certain, but you could leave Daytona as the points lead. And if you leave Daytona as the points lead, well, then no one would argue that you didn't go out on top. So, a crazy finish there tonight. Coming to the white flag, what was going through your mind, and were you wondering about what could happen in front of you?
Oh, absolutely. I was just sitting there thinking top 10, top 5, and I'll be happy. It'll be my best race of the year, let alone first. Something happened, and I just managed to get through. I'm glad we had that dirt race before this where I was practicing my drifting. Otherwise, I don't know if I could have gotten through it.
Yeah, I said at one point that JT Poole might have pulled off the save of the year. Well, I gotta say, JT, I think you were just dethroned by Steven, because not only was he able to save the car, he was able to go across the start-finish line first. And how awesome is it to get to the checkered flag with no other car around you? I mean, you knew at that point you were the winner of race 1.
It was so shocking. I was like, this can't be real. This can't be happening. Me in first? Man, my heart was beating. I was like shaking. It was surreal.
Yeah, definitely a crazy finish to what is going to be a crazy season. That is for sure. But Steven, speaking about the season, JT Poole in the chat saying, "Oh man, not cool," as we dethrone his save of the season. But JT, you can still earn it back. You can still earn it back. We have, a long season. We have a lot of really cool races. I rolled off a bunch of them when speaking to Harvey. But now, we got Talladega, we got Coca-Cola, a couple of other super speedways on the schedule. We got short tracks. We got Bristol. We got Nashville Fairgrounds. We got Sobel. We got some road courses in the mix as well. We go to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. I mean, any particular races on the schedule that you're looking forward to going to here after Daytona?
Well, I'm glad you started with the super speedways because those are the only ones where I'll have a chance. But I'm also looking to Villeneuve and Watkins Glen road courses are always fun, even though I'm not that great at it. They're fun to do. So pretty much those kind of tracks I'm looking forward to. Just the whole season. It's been really fun getting back into TNR after so long off.
Yeah, absolutely. Steven, definitely going to be a fun season here on 3 White TV all season long. But Steven, I know you got shout outs, so let us hear them.
First, Thornton Graphix, all the sponsors for the series, and you guys, 3 White TV. After every race, I always look forward to rewatching it back and listening to you guys announce it. You guys really are a treasure to us. And I guess just to Garrett, with like right before that last one, we're like, what are we doing up here in the top 10? And he's like, I wish I was behind you so I could push you. And at the end, I was like, I've got good news, Garrett. I won.
Yeah, that was a really crazy finish. Kept everyone on your toes. And I tell you what, even our live timing and scoring couldn't believe it, because our live timing and scoring didn't say you came across the start-finish line first. So
System's out to get me.
Yeah, everything's out to get you, but iRacing scores you as the winner, and that's all that matters, right? Steven, congratulations on winning here tonight at Daytona. Hope to talk to you again here soon on the channel, and best of luck until we do.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a great night, guys.
All right, well, that's going to do it for our post-race interview with tonight's race winner, Stephen Kegman, picking up his first win of the Total Nonstop Racing League reboot here in iRacing. Been 6 years or so since it was shut down, and then it finally was resurrected here on iRacing, and Kegman going to victory lane. Great to see that, Bob.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's great seeing some of the, the old guard, for lack of a better phrase, get up here, stay competitive throughout the race, and great to see a guy like Steve Kegman come across the start-finish line in first.
Now, before we get to the final race results, I want to kind of see if we can go back to possibly do a quick replay, because there was more than one accident on that final lap. There was actually one a little bit further back in the pack. We want to see if we can just get that accident for the viewers and see exactly what went down back there. A couple of cars went spitting, I think, including the number 3 machine of Steve Rada. Tristan Maher involved as well. So we'll see if we can get a quick look at this one right here on the channel. And look like right up here, the number 4, the 13, the 98. That outside line seems like they all kind of got together, and it was kind of on from there. Cam Caldwell involved, Steve Rada. Look at the number 98, Lorello in the 13 going around. Look at the 7 there of Garrett Gleason slicing his way through. And how about the 77 machine right there, Dave Harvey. At this point, Harvey was way back in the pack. He was probably around the 10th position right there at the start-finish line. He came home to finish 3rd, picking up a ton of positions in the final lap. But that was a pretty crazy finish. We'll see if we can go back and look at that one kind of in at full speed, if you will, here coming out of turn number 4.
Yeah, it looks like just coming out of 4 there, the 13 of Lorello got into the back of the 4, sent him pinballing into a couple of other cars, which collected the rest of the field. And oh man, wow, hard hit there by the 3. It looks like he got driven through by, I believe that's the 1 of Gracias and a couple of other cars. But that wasn't the only carnage that we saw. Obviously, as they were coming to the line, some more carnage. But man, that was wild.
And get one more look at this final accident. There you see Kegman in the 22. The 3rd car in line there on the bottom, and this is where it just starts to go wrong for the whole field. And man, Mashburn almost squeaked through there. You see Garrett Gleason going up on 2 wheels briefly in that number 7 machine. And here comes a couple of those cars that were involved in that accident at the start-finish line. And oh man, there was another accident. That's the 38, Vincent Valvano, going back into the wall. So it was a game of pinball there on the last lap. And Stephen Kegman comes out winning the pinball fight and walking away with the win here tonight at Daytona International Speedway. Let's see if we can go through tonight's final race results. Stephen Kegman in the 22 walking away with the win. Chris Stewart, great run for him, coming home in 2nd. Dave Harvey, we talked with him, finishing in 3rd. Ricky Williams, the number 8 machine, coming home in 4th. We talked about Ricky a couple times during the night and having a very solid finish after all things were said and done. Dustin Jones rounding out the top 5. Look at that, 4.2 seconds behind the race winner. Dustin Jones, I didn't really mention Dustin Jones in the accident that was happening there as we were coming to the white flag, but Dustin Jones was sent through the grass in the infield there, coming through the tri-oval as he took the white flag, and he was able to rocket his way up to 5th position with all the carnage. Floppy Tellier was involved in that accident as well, coming to the white flag. They were really fortuitous. Vincent Valvano in the 38 machine, we just saw him going through the grass. Same thing with Garrett Gleason, got up on 2 wheels on the final lap. DeMarco Starks and JT Poole rounding out the top 10. What a wild finish to this one.
That was just absolutely incredible. In 11th, Jason Freeman. Freeman was leading coming out of turn number 4, side by side with the 70 of Chris Darling. He dropped back to 11th. In 12th, the 57 of Josh Sobel. Again, another one of those drivers part of that lead pack. Ben Mashburn there as well. Ben Mashburn actually is our winner of the Shibby Shack Dash for Cash. So he's been chosen as our Dash for Cash winner, narrowly beating out the 45 of Eddie Hawks and the 84 of Matt Monticelli. In 15th place is the 12 of Cam Caldwell, Ben Izinga, Chris Darling there as well. In 17th, Steve Rada, James Lorello, and Tristan Maher finishing in 20th.
And finishing in the 21st position here tonight is, of course, the number 99 of Philip Scott right there in that car. Jason Gracias, your reigning series champion. He's going to have a lot of work to do after tonight's dismal 22nd place finish. Austin Grover finishing in 23rd. Bill Edwards there in the number 50, finishing 4 laps down. Kyle Geveshausen in the 44, also finishing 4 laps down. Chad Mikos, who was leading when he got turned on the backstretch with just a handful of laps to go. Tough break for Mikos there in the Mountain Dew Game Fuel number 25 machine, finishing 26th. Matt Monticelli finishing in 27th, 12 laps down. Chris James, who was able to get out there on the racetrack to turn a couple of laps, 14 laps to be exact. He finishes down in 28th. And Tony Lucarelli rounds out the 29 cars who were able to at least take time in practice here tonight at Daytona. But Bob, that's going to set the stage for what is going to be an awesome season. Next week, of course, we go to Rockingham Speedway, Homestead, Miami. The week after that, Myrtle Beach, Sacree-Gilles-Villeneuve, Gateway, Talladega, Coca-Cola Speedway, South Boston, Kansas Speedway, Pocono Raceway, Dover, Nashville Fairgrounds, Atlanta, Watkins Glen, Darlington, and Bristol, rounding out the season in May, a couple of months from now. It's a lot of races over the next couple of weeks until we get to mid-May. But until then, Bob, I'm looking forward to the season.
Yeah, I am too. Just kind of looking at the calendar right now, the month of February is going to be really interesting. We've got the short track at Myrtle Beach, Montreal, the road course, Gateway, the intermediate course, and Talladega, the super speedway. That is going to be a really interesting month, and that's really going to showcase the different talents of the drivers here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. So that is going to be quite interesting. But man, Peter, I'm already looking forward to Rockingham next week. A tough surface, really tough on tires. It's going to be interesting to see how these drivers can conserve tires and really, like Chris Edwards had said, race the track versus the other drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to this season, and make sure all of you tune in each and every week right here on 3 Wide TV. But Bob, I got to say, it's about that time where we wrap things up here on 3 Wide TV. Want to give some shout-outs amongst the league sponsors, of course, Thornton Graphix, Dunn Raceway Park in Old Forge, Pennsylvania. Go check them out if you're into indoor off-road racing. Yes, there is such thing as indoor off-road RC racing, that is. Make sure you check them out. Awesome track to be a part of up there in Old Forge, Pennsylvania. Of course, Thornton Graphix, make sure you check them out, and everyone here at Total Nonstop Racing League. And a big shout out to our friends over at Sim TV for the camera angles that we bring you each and every week right here on the channel. But for myself, Peter Short, Bob Giaquinto, we'll see you next week in North Carolina, Rockingham Speedway. We'll see you then. See ya.